Peace and Yah bless. Yah is the strong one. The strong one is Yah. He's the tree of life. He's the fountain of living waters. He's the spirit and creator of all things that live and breathe. On this particular discourse, I'm going to talk about the Exodus order. The Exodus order. Now, for those who watched the last discourse and listened to it thoroughly, you see that obviously the Exodus is going to come from the four corners of the earth. Okay? It's going to come from the four corners of the earth. We know that by reading the book of Jeremiah, chapter number 23. Right? Right. Okay. That being said, all right, this is what I have prepared as a plan, and I'm sure that many people have already agreed that it is a solid and good plan, okay? Naturally, this is obviously the world, okay, as it is today, right? Well, okay, we know the four corners, it just means, from all over the world, right? From the four corners of the earth, as it's stated, right? In the book of remembrance, many times, right? Okay? Well, what we did was broke this down into waves, okay? Because if you read the book of Nehemiah and Ezra, when they came back during the Second Temple era, they came back in different waves, okay? Everybody didn't show up at the same time. Not even the main, I would say, actors of that particular Exodus. Dealing with Zerubbabel, dealing with, obviously, Nehemiah and Ezra, okay? All right? Basically, back then, that was, the house of David and, the line of Zadok, et cetera, for all those who know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the priesthood, okay? Dealing with the line of Zadok, all right? Now, this right here, this particular plan, I think will work out great, okay? Reason being, and I'm going to say this, because some people view the Exodus like the Exodus of Moses. You got 600,000 people coming out of one location, or let's say maybe several locations, right? Because we know by reading the book of Exodus, that's how many people came out of Israel, not including the strangers that were attached to us even back then, right? If you go read the book of Exodus, all right? Okay, so this is a modern day time, okay? Now, naturally, what happened with Sodom and her daughters during 1969, 1970, this is a different era and time period. You wouldn't be able to pull that off even if we tried during this particular time. Okay, so it has to be done right, and it has to be done in an orderly fashion, okay? All right, now, so let's go to this verse, because I know everybody's getting in a twist whenever they read it and hear about it, okay? Jeremiah chapter 3, okay? Go there in your book, okay? Now, Jeremiah chapter 3, verse number 14. Turn, O backsliding children, saith Yah. For I am married unto you. That's that marriage covenant relationship that he has with the nation of Israel, right? That he had from the very start, right? When we first began to be a nation, okay? Now listen very carefully. And I will take you, one of a city and two of a family, and bring you to Zion. Okay? Did you hear that? One of a city, okay, and two out of a family, and I will bring you to Zion, okay? That basically is going to be the order and how it will work, okay? That's why we have it broke up into these regions like that, okay? We'll start with region A, right? Naturally, that will cover, South America, North America, Canada, Greenland, okay, Alaska, and the Caribbean, okay? And if you notice, the reason this is the first people to move is because, okay, this is, in the transatlantic slave trade, this is where we were brought first. Okay, we came to to the Caribbeans, then we were brought down to South America, and then eventually 1619 brought to Jamestown. Right. All right. So, for everybody who knows the history about the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. All right. Naturally, in the 1400s, we went over to Europe first. Okay. But basically, this is the way we have the plan to have it set out. Now, one of a city and two of a family, that's still going to amount to a lot of people, okay? It's still going to amount to a lot of people, all right? That will come out of this region A, because it'll get a set date. We'll make it happen. Now, once these people reach the Holy Land, okay, here's what's going to happen. It's not going to be the plane hits the ground, right, at Ben Gurion Airport, and people start running all over the place, running what they call running amok, right? You can't have people just running amok and just, going and, possessing property no one knows they're there. Okay? This has to be done in obviously a very professional and modern 2020 kind of a way, okay, for this particular Exodus. Now, it doesn't mean that, you're going to get left. All it means is if you've been actually serving the Holy One of Israel, then you'll be able to get to the Holy Land, okay? But we'll be coming from all over the, four corners of the earth until it is completed for all those who want to make the Aliyah. Now, I will say this. The mission is not for everybody. So for all those who want to back out or bow out, do just that. If you feel uncomfortable with the situation, do just that. Okay? All right? If you're happy, you want to stay, with the oppressor. If you're a Black American, well, then stay with the oppressor in the daughter of Babylon. Do just that. Okay? Because, this thing has to be in order from A to Z. Okay? It cannot be out of order. You can't have people landing on the ground and, I'm just going to go get whatever I see open and it belongs to me now. It doesn't work like that. It has to be done in a professional manner. We have to have a roll call. We have to know who's on the plane. Okay? We have to know these things. Okay? Who's on the plane, what their profession is. Okay? All right? Especially if they're coming from region A, because the way we have it set is we do have it set definitely by profession, because some of the first people you're going to need are going to be infrastructure, okay? Logistics. Those kind of professional people first. Then you work your way down, to lower levels, okay? Of different professions of what people do, okay? So you want to bring your super top professionals first, in your first wave, okay? Then we'll move regions and we'll go here and we'll get the top professionals from here. Then we'll move regions and we'll get the top professionals from here. Okay? Especially Israel. Israel, you're the main reason for the Exodus. Okay? We're not leaving you out. Remember, Yah is recovering all of us from the four corners of the earth. Okay? And those Gentiles, right, who have called upon his name, right? That his name is upon, right? Okay? Them also. Okay? And they'll come with us. All right, simple as that. And then we'll just start back at region A again, come pull out some more different ones, okay, out of all these areas, okay, until we have recovered all of the children of Israel that Yah has called and those who've called upon Yah's name, okay. So that's the reason why I was telling you this right here, that it's one of a city and two of a family, okay. It doesn't mean your whole family's not going to make it. They're going to make it. Okay? As long as they've called upon the holy name of Yah. Right? And I'm talking about in sincerity. All right? Now, it can't be a situation where you're breaking the Most High's law and you're trying to call upon the Most High's name. He's not going to hear you. Okay? I'm talking about somebody possibly of an alternative, lifestyle. Now, the Most High doesn't hear that because that's against Torah law. Simple as that. Okay? So we need to, just because it says whosoever calls upon his name, right? In Joel 32, he's talking about those who called in sincerity and have taken a hold to his law and are doing his laws, or at least are learning to do his law. Okay? all right, that you may qualify to go in the Aliyah, all right, when it's time, all right, because naturally, you can't fit the whole world, in a small, tiny state of Israel. Come on now. Let's just use common sense. And naturally, that's why in Joel chapter 32, verse number 2, it tells you it's a remnant. It's a remnant in who Yah has called. It is a remnant. A remnant means what? A very small part. Because most people are going to want to just stay where they are. And they should. Okay? Now, Ezekiel chapter 20, let's talk about rebels and transgressors. Now, it's going to be all kinds of people, even the way this Exodus is set, there'll be all kinds of people still coming out, okay, including rebels and transgressors. Those who've already tried to come out, they'll try to come out again. Okay, that's Ezekiel chapter 20, verse number 38. Okay, all right. Now, let me speak to my people for a minute. See, my black people, in these Israelite camps and groups and all that, you see, a lot of them have their own leaders and their own leaderships. And a lot of them are calling themselves bishops and calling themselves priests and all that. They do not know whether or not they are a priest. And as we get back to the Holy Land, that'll all be sorted out. Because you can't come over there and claim you're a priest and you're not really a priest. Yah has to determine that, the priesthood, okay? Who is who? Okay, and from what faction of the priesthood you're from, because there's two different factions of Levites. Those coming from Aaron, those coming from Moses, right? I mean, quite simple, right? But you got people even in the Holy Land today calling themselves that. Okay? All right, we're talking about priests of Yah. We're not talking about no pastors. we don't mean that. We're talking about priests of Yah, right? Okay, the Levites, right? The holy Levites, all right? So that'll have to be sorted out. And like I said, naturally, a lot of these Israelite groups, they have their own basic leaders already set up. We're not going to come back to the land with all your leaders and all that, have a bunch of people separated, following this guy, and this group of people following this guy, and this group of people following this guy. Only the seed of David runs Israel, okay, at the top of the government. All right, so you can't come back with that stuff written in your heart. That's why it says in Ezekiel chapter 20, 38 talks about those rebels and transgressors. Now, why are they rebels and transgressors? Because number one, they're calling upon something other than Yah, man. A lot of those Israelite groups, they call upon Yahweh Shai, as basically the same as Jesus, right? It's just saying Jesus in some kind of foreign Hebraic language that they made up, because it's not the right Hebrew. Okay, that's not the right Hebrew. So some call them, different names, right? But it's the same idol nonetheless. Okay? That's the reason why they have to go be judged by Yah. Okay? All right? Because they have to come to the conclusion that Yah is by himself, as the book of remembrance tells you that Yah is by himself. He is the almighty creator Father Yah, and there's none with him, neither is there any beside him. Okay? Simple as that. All right? All right, so let's look at the Exodus itself, and you can see it, clear, at least more clear in Jeremiah chapter 23. It tells you right here, man, okay? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yah, that they should no more say, Yah liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt. So we're not going to talk about the Exodus story no more. That's what this verse number 7 is telling you right here. We're not going to talk about that no more. We're going to talk about this next Exodus that's getting ready to happen, okay? Here in the 21st century of the world, okay? But listen, okay? But Yah liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, okay? And from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. See, this right here is telling you the exact plan. And if you look right here, that's exactly what we have, okay? Yah liveth that does what? That brings the children of Israel from the northern hemisphere, the north country, right? Namely, talking about the daughter of Babylon, America, right? But also from the four corners of the earth. So that's what we're doing. But it's done one of a city, two of a family. And it's done in waves. And we will recover, like it tells you over in Isaiah chapter 11, we will recover from everywhere, okay? So it's not going to be just one big old gigantic exodus like you saw with Moses, okay? Where you got 600,000 people coming out on foot, you know what I mean? Walking over to the Holy Land, you right? Okay? All right, it's not going to be like that. It'll be closer to what happened with Ezra and Nehemiah and Zerubbabel when they came out of what was called the old Babylon, right? All right. Well, we're coming out of the new Babylon, or what they call the daughter of Babylon, and called the United States today, right? Okay? But it's done, and it will be done, it shall be done in waves. Because once Region A comes out and they're settled in, and we know where everybody is, we know where they're located in the land, okay? And whatever, modern paperwork they may need, or whatever the case is, different IDs, whatever they may need, to continue on their life, as they come out of America. Not that much is going to change, okay, when we get to the Holy Land. I mean, there'll still be protocols. There'll still be standards that we have to live by, okay? Things you got to do, okay? Citizenship matters, things like that, okay? All right? But once this first wave is complete, we'll decide how many is supposed to come out and who it is. Then we'll move to Region B, and then they'll come out, right? From the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all through here. England, all through here, man. Okay, France, Italy, right? Spain, right? Okay, all right. Then you move to Region C. All right, and then what happens? Spain is one of the ones that leads it. Now, it doesn't mean it's coming from Spain. It's just saying their planes will be available to lead it. Get some wise understanding, okay? It's just saying their planes will be available first to lead coming out from right here, not coming from over here, okay? That's why we got it split up, okay? Like that, all right? In those different regions. That's what it's talking about. Their planes will be available over there in Isaiah, or their pilots will be available, okay? The ships, what they call the ships of Tarshish. Tarshish means Spain, literally. They will lead the process. So their planes have to come from here and go all the way to here to lead this procession out, right? With the Jerusalem movement at the head, okay? And definitely the house of David, we are going to be the lead plane. We lead the procession out of the daughter of Babylon for Region A and all these regions right here, okay? Which really covers most of the transatlantic slave trade, right? Okay? All right? And once we get there and we're settled in the land, then, right, got everybody settled, then we'll move on to the other regions, Region B, and then Region C. Then we'll come back over. There's still people who want to come from Region A. We'll come back and get them. You know what I mean? Simple as that. But remember, this has to be put together in a modern day sort of an exodus. It ain't going to be people just, it ain't going to be a free-for-all. You got thousands of people landing in planes, and they get out the planes, they disembark from the plane and just start running everywhere. Just go, nobody knows where they went. Just start going to cities or wherever the case is, wherever they want to go to, and start possessing property. It doesn't work like that. It has to be modern day. This is the 21st century of the world, 2020, right? Almost the end of 2020, right? So it has to be done in a modern way, in a very succinct and organized way. That's supposed to happen. So that's what it means in Isaiah, talking about the ships of Tarshish going to lead the way. It doesn't mean they're coming from right here. It means they're coming from right here. Okay? Because the Jerusalem movement that you read about in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 55, we are the procession leaders, okay? With the house of David, naturally, at the lead plane. We lead the procession out, okay? And those ships of Tarshish are just going to be available to help us, facilitate this exodus matter, okay? And then once this region's covered right here, which, like I said, which covers most of the transatlantic slave trade, then we'll move on to Region B. And we'll keep recovering. Now, this goes to Isaiah 11. We'll start recovering, okay? And then Region C. Because, it's black Americans all over here, through here, too. Everywhere. Russia and China and all kinds of places, okay? All right, remember, it says to the four corners of the earth, man. That's what the Most High said, what? And from all the countries whither I had driven them. Because just think about it. If you could just have planes coming from everywhere, that'd be chaos. You got North America, and they're coming from Africa, and they're coming from Europe, and they're coming from Australia. They're coming from everywhere. There's planes coming from everywhere. That would not be in order, man. People landing. As a matter of fact, Ben Gurion Airport isn't that big of an airport. It can't absorb that kind of shock. Number two, the land can't absorb that kind of shock at this time, okay? That's the reason why Jeremiah 3:14 makes so much sense. I will take you one of a city and two of a family. Okay? All right? All right. Remember, God doesn't put these things in our minds and put it in our head just haphazardly. Okay? When I put these things on video, it's there for a reason. It's there to give an overall plan for it to happen. Okay, it's not the elite's job to tell us how to do it. We tell them, and then they can either agree to it or not agree to it, right? But we're supposed to tell them, hey, here's how it should be done in an orderly fashion. Where we can have some kind of, protocols and controls over who's coming to the land and when they get there and when they arrive, and have basically some kind of what we call inception, okay? When they get there, okay, you're here, sign this document, whatever the case is, that we know you're here. Okay, we're going to send you over this hotel for right now until we take you to whatever spaces we're going to take you to. Okay. All right. But in particular in Jerusalem, for the Jerusalem movement. Now, there are other cities available that I've seen, fabulous cities, right, in Israel. So, but we'll see how it all works out. I don't have to give the whole plan away. You guys get it. Okay. All right. All right, so just think about that. That's something for you guys to think about, okay? Plus, the Most High's got a filter. He's going to filter out all those rebels and transgressors, okay? That means, those trying to, tag along and they know they're not about man, okay? Like I said, some of them Israelite groups, I'm not going to call them, by name, but some of those Israelite groups, okay? Because they all got their own leadership set up and their own leaders that they admire and all that stuff. That just causes basically what they call a kerfuffle, okay? Because most of those people are following those leaders, and when they follow them out, they're going to want to get to the Holy Land and think they're supposed to listen to them. Most High is not going to allow that to happen. That's why he's got what? He got some for rebels and transgressors, right? Okay? He's going to take them into the wilderness, what's called the wilderness of the people. And there they shall plead before Yah. And what does it mean, plead? It means they have to let go of that idolatry before they can come to the Holy Land. Okay? All right? It doesn't mean they won't make it. It means they have to let go of that idolatry so they can qualify to come to the Holy Land. That's why they got to plead. The Most High say right here in Ezekiel chapter 20, right here. Look right here, okay? As a matter of fact, let's start back up 34. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of all the countries, right, wherein ye are scattered. Because we're scattered all over the place, okay? Everywhere, right? He says, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. You see that? Okay? And there I will plead with you face to face. Now, why is he pleading with them? Because they're carrying idols with them, man. All right? And some may not even make it out. Remember what happened in the first Exodus that you read in the book of Exodus. Remember, they wandered in the wilderness 40 years, man. Until that whole generation that came out of Egypt, all of them died off, with the exception of who? Joshua and Caleb. They were the only ones of those generations that made it actually into the Holy Land, with Joshua at the lead, right? All right, read the book of Joshua, right? Okay, now, the wilderness of the people, right? He's going to plead. See, he has to plead with these Israelite groups about this Yahushua and any other name they can come up with. Okay? Now listen to what it says in 36. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. Okay? So will I plead with you, saith Lord God, or God Yah. Okay? Simple as that. Okay? All right? And that's something that needs to be understood. He's going to plead with these people. Okay? So they're not going to be able to just walk right into the Holy Land, even if they get on them planes, okay? Now, verse 38 of Ezekiel 20. And I will purge, keyword, purge, okay, out among you the rebels. He's going to purge rebels out. And them that transgress against me. And I will bring them forth out of the countries where they sojourn, okay? And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yah. And that's what I've been trying to tell some of these people who've tried to come out of the United States ahead of time. ahead of the Holy One of Israel. Remember, Yah has to be before us before we can go into the Holy Land. You can't just get there and arrive there on your own, man. He has to be before those planes. His spirit will literally lead us in procession to the Holy Land. Okay? That way, ain't nothing going wrong with the planes and nothing stupid happening. Okay? I'm quite sure we have a whole, army of angels surrounding us, surrounding those planes as we fly to the Holy Land of Israel. Okay? But that's what this verse number 38 is talking about. There'll be rebels and transgressors among us, but they're going to get purged out. Okay? So no matter what plane they board or how they try to get there, they're still going to end up in the same place. They're going to end up in the wilderness of the people. That way they can be pleaded with, okay? Like Yah pleaded with our forefathers, right? That wandered around in circles, right? Right? In the wilderness of Egypt. And they didn't come into the Holy Land. Most of them died, all of them died off except Joshua and Caleb, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. That's what's going to happen. And that's why it's set like this, okay? That's why it's set like this. So you don't have planes just coming from everywhere. That's chaos, man. This has to be set up in a 2020, 21st century style Exodus, okay? Or this verse number 3 and 14 of Jeremiah wouldn't make any sense. I will take you one of the city and two of a family and bring you to Zion. Right? It wouldn't make any sense if it was done any other kind of way. If you had just bunches of planes flying in the air, coming from everywhere. Okay? It wouldn't make any sense. And then people just land on the ground and there's no order, right? People just start going, possessing whatever property they want to. It doesn't work like that. Okay? See, when you have proper leadership, you get the right answers. When you don't have proper leadership, you get the wrong answers. Okay? Because some of these people, like I said, been trying to go into the Holy Land. Some of these celebrities, and ain't none of them went in. Okay? Okay? So basically what's being repeated is what was happening back during 1967. Same things happening now that was happening in 1967. Okay? All kind of racial strife and all that kind of stuff going on. You have Martin Luther King trying to come out. Okay, but y'all blocked him, didn't he? Right? In his SCLC delegation. They were a Christian movement. They were not going to make it to the Holy Land. Okay? All right. And we've had other kinds of people try to come out too. And they have not made it to the Holy Land. They're not going to until they put away that idolatry. Okay? Only Yah can be worshipped in the Holy Land. Nothing else, man. That's the main job. Deuteronomy chapter 12, right? Okay? You have to get pleaded with in the wilderness of the people, man. Okay? Right, you see right here, wilderness of the people. He's going to plead with the people face to face. And that doesn't matter if it's a Gentile either or any other Hebrew factions. He's going to plead with you face to face about that idolatry. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean he's going to get rid of you, even though he will get rid of some people, okay, who just can't, change, their perspective about who Yah, the Holy One of Israel, is, right? Okay? He's going to get rid of some people, obviously. It tells right here in verse 38. Rebels and transgressors, okay? All right, so that's the Exodus plan. I think you guys have seen enough and heard enough about it, okay? And it's solid. Thank you guys for listening, okay? Keep this all in mind, all right? Go study. Read, study, pray, and research, okay? Peace, and y'all bless.